Hello again, friends. It's time for another In Other News. And it's a delightful, stinking, pouring down rainy day here in Blacksburg, Virginia on April 21st, 2012. It's the big spring game, and I hope the game's over already because look out the window. Hoserama going on. And speaking of weather, there might be a little thunder in the background too. There it is, right on cue. Staying with the weather theme while it's crappy here in Blacksburg, there's a tsunami going on right now somewhere in Southeast Asia, but not the tsunami that you're thinking of. We're not talking about a real tidal wave. No, I'm talking about a culmination of in other news stories that I'm going to put all together for this one tsunami of change that's occurring in Burma. That's right, aka Myanmar, which I've never referred to the country as and never will. Burma is a place, of course, that everybody who's ever taken my classes knows about because of the awesome pro-democracy advocate, Nobel Peace Prize winner, Aung San Suu Kyi, who, of course, spent most of her adult life under house arrest trying to form her country into a democracy and being punished for it. And I just wanted to go out of my way here on April 21st to kind of give a summary of the radical events that have changed this country in 1 month. In 1 month. I probably should have done some other podcast about this already, but let's catch up real quick. April is a titanic month for Burma, and it's rolling on right on up into current events happening today. What started this tsunami? Well, the junta, the dictatorship, the military dictatorship that's been in charge of Burma pretty much for the last 50 years, for reasons which we're still not sure of, decided to kind of liberalize, open up a bit, and allow for some sort of representative government. They held some sham elections a couple years ago. Nobody really read into them too much. Everybody's like, no, this is just a fake front. Kind of like Egypt. Yeah, they're holding elections that only their people can win. So they held elections. All former military and active military people won all of the seats in parliament. So it was just a sham. Nobody cared. But here was the tricky thing that happened that maybe was the game changer. They allowed this guy named Thein Sein, S-E-I-N, Sein, who was the prime minister under the full-on Burmese junta days, to become president. So he became the elected president. And this guy, who knows? Maybe he like smoked some crack or something. I don't know. But he has turned into kind of a huge pro-reformer himself within Burma. And he hasn't got killed yet for doing all the stuff he's been doing. And he's kind of liberalized the press a little bit. He's actually opened up foreign affairs. And the most important thing they did was that they held elections earlier this month, in fact, the first day of April, and allowed Aung San Suu Kyi's political party to run. And surprise, surprise, 43 of the 45 seats that Aung San Suu Kyi's political party, that's the National League for Democracy, the NLD, they won 43 of those 45 seats. Aung San Suu Kyi herself was allowed to run and won, obviously. She's the heroine of this country. She's one of the best, most awesome heroines of planet Earth. So, that was April 1st, April Fool's Day here in America, but there wasn't no fooling in Burma because big things are afoot. By the way, of course, insider shout out to all my peeps from last semester. We got to Skype with Aung San Suu Kyi in November. At that point, it was not even declared that, it was not even known that she was going to be allowed to run. They weren't even sure their political party was going to be allowed to run in that election. So that was November, my friends. November. Here we are in April. And she is now officially a politician in Burma. Of course, right before we spoke with her in November, Hillary Clinton, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had gone there and visited with her. So things are starting to open up and liberalize very quickly since April 1st. Again, 20 days ago, her political party won this election. And now the tsunami is just overwhelming the beaches of this country because things are changing so fast, nobody can believe them. Not even me, not even Aung San Suu Kyi, I'll bet. So let me summarize quickly. What am I talking about? Everybody on the planet is now talking. Everybody who had sanctions against the country and who's tried to isolate this regime for going on 30 to 50 years is now openly talking about, okay, well, it looks like the democracy's actually happening. They're liberalizing. They're allowing things to go forward and having a representative democracy. So we should probably start talking about easing the sanctions, and that's exactly what's going on. So first big story to follow up to the election itself was last Friday, April 13th. Again, another bad day. April 13th. Friday the 13th and April Fool's Days are actually really great days for Burma this year because Friday, April 13th, a week ago, UK Prime Minister, British Prime Minister David Cameron visited the country. First time ever for him. First time ever for a British head of state for who knows how many decades. Visited, met with Aung San Suu Kyi, met with the president, Ten Tien, met with other politicians, and on the spot he was like, hey dudes, I think the UK should be easing sanctions starting now. Woo! All right. Britain's had a full-on, don't buy nothing, don't trade with these folks, don't do financial anything with them. So the UK is saying we're ready to go to ease sanctions to, again, facilitate this change, encourage this democratic and political openness with financial openness and getting regular economic trade relations back on track. Again, I keep stressing, consider the timeline. We're talking about 20 days. This regime, and the entire country because of this regime, has been isolated for 50 years. In 20 days, the UK is saying, hey, we think we're going to ease sanctions now. Let's get this game on. This week, just within the last 72 hours, the European Union itself, the entire entity, has already had a talk, had a meeting, and said, we're ready to ease sanctions as well. Woo! Booyah! It's roll tiding, baby! They are saying, hey, we want to stay optimistic, and we want to encourage all this positive change happening in Burma, but of course we want to do this slowly. So we're talking about slow easing of sanctions, opening up some things for trade, opening up some financial outlets for interaction, not everything, and they've already tucked in a nice kind of disclaimer, which I think is really smart. They're saying, we're going to do this with a 6-month review tag in there. So we're going to start opening up stuff for Great Britain, the European Union as a whole, but a 6-month tag in there that says we'll review this, and if anything changes, these guys turn into bastards again and start clamping down on democracy, then we'll pull right back again. So that's good stuff. Let me keep roll tiding here. Today, April 21, 2012, Burmese President Thein Sein is in Japan. First time he's probably ever left his own country. I'm almost positive it's the first time that a Burmese head of state has met with the Japanese head of state for 30 years. In Tokyo right now, as I'm ranting, and Japan, Prime Minister Noda, you know him as Yoda, Prime Minister Noda, speaking on behalf of his government, has said, we are going to forgive $3.7 billion worth of Burmese debt. Wow! Damn! And that's the equivalent, it's 300 billion yen. 3.7 billion US dollars. The Japanese government saying, you know what, you owe us 3.7 billion. We're writing it off. Good job, guys. Way to go! Turning the corner for your country and opening up and becoming a democracy. If that ain't incentive, I don't know what is. To me, when you start to have concrete moves like this going on, the democracy thing is almost irreversible. Because even the naysayers in Burma that may want to take it back to a junta, take it back to a military dictatorship, or not allow this openness, even they got to be at this point going, holy crap. Which, I mean, that's a huge boon for a small economy. $3.7 million forgiven. At the same time, Japan has said, yes, we haven't actually lent any money to your country for 30 years, and we're willing to change that now. We're ready to help you by lending you money for infrastructure projects, for roads, for schools, whatever you need. Japan's got your back, Burma. Booyah! I mean, this is huge. It's really, quite frankly, a gigantic deal. because it's nice to have nice diplomatic relations. It's nice, but money talks, man. And this is really going to help Burma tremendously and cement their path tremendously. Because people, and including the bastards who ran this country into ground for the last 50 years, these people are going to start seeing immediate improvement, immediate change, immediate money rolling in. And it's going to be hard. It's like smoking crack, man. Once you have that first hit, it's going to be hard to stop. So that's why I call this a tsunami of change that's rolling over Burma right now, that almost, to me, is a done deal. These guys, it's still a tricky time. Because, yes, this change is happening really fast, and there will be those hardliners in the military who will say it's happening too fast, and they're opening up too fast, and they're going to lose control of their country, and they're going to lose all the control that these guys, quite frankly, have had 100% of the control for 50 years. And to give up that control is scary for these bastards. So it's still a dangerous time. They still could clamp down and redestroy the country. We're on a nice edge here. A knife's edge, not a nice edge. This country's on a knife's edge that it still could go either way. But man, when you start getting money rolling in and forgiveness and financial institutions now working with you that had banned you before, and forgiveness of debt and opening up economies so that you'll start buying stuff from Burma like never before, that's going to be hard to walk away from and revert back to the old ways. And this is a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous time for Burma. I love reporting on good news because you never get to hear about good news in the news. It's always bad and horrific and terrible. And I think this is the exact right thing for the world to be doing. The Burmese people themselves have won this victory with their own blood, sweat, and tears for 30 years. With the assistance of the international community, just to isolate the government of Burma, not to invade it, not to try to take it over, not to give democracy to the people of Burma, but to facilitate in every way they could peacefully for Burmese people to rise up and get their democracy, and that's what's happened. And it's awesome that the world is now flooding in, I shouldn't say the world, the Western states, Team West, flooding in to really facilitate, encourage, and basically it's a bonus. We're giving you a bonus. Nice job, guys. Military dictatorship, go away. We're going to make your country better as much as we can. We're giving you the bonus. And it's the right thing to do. I will end with a quote, just a partial quote from Jim Webb earlier today. That's U.S. Senator Jim Webb, who also happens to be the senator from Virginia, the Old Dominion. Jim Webb is like the special envoy to Burma. I don't know how he got that job, but he's been there. He's met with Aung San Suu Kyi, and he's from Virginia. Got to love the Virginia connection we have with Aung San Suu Kyi and Burma. And Webb, who's an awesome senator, by the way, and I don't say that about too many senators, he's been there off and on. He's met with them. He's been following the story closely. And just a part of a quote that I'm going to pluck out that he said is, today he said, there is a moment in time that you just have to take advantage of. And that's exactly what's happening. The U.S. itself, we're hesitant. We're saying, yes, we're going to talk about easing sanctions. We're going to talk about trade. But we're not jumping in with both feet yet because it's still early. It's only been 21 days. So it's still early. But Webb is right. The U.S. is right. Japan is right. The U.K. is right. The EU is right. There's a moment in time. The door is opened. Let's see if the Burmese people, Aung San Suu Kyi, the NLD, and the rest of the world who can help kick that door open fully and make Burma the most awesome country that it used to be, and I feel like it's going to be again. And that's the good news in other news today.